Welcome back to The Outright Effect, a podcast in which unique perspectives challenge us to be better versions of ourselves. I'm Tempsy.
And I'm Shelly.
And today we want to talk a little bit about influencers and folks who put free content out on things like YouTube and other platforms that are similar. I'm super intrigued by the folks who, have interest in doing that and put themselves out there. And Shelly's been doing that with her vlog on YouTube. So I wanted to ask her and interview her on what brought her to that point and what's continuing to drive her interest in that. So we're going to talk about that today.
Yep, sounds good. Let's get into it.
All right. Well, tell us a little bit about your channel. What is it all about?
So my channel is basically, I guess in a nutshell, I would call it like a lifestyle, beauty, fashion kind of channel where essentially I'm reviewing things. I would say I give pretty honest reviews on products. People may or may not like it, to be honest, the things that I say. But at the end of the day, I feel like I like to inform people of things and make sure that they're aware, because I definitely have in the past made purchases that may not have been the best. And so for me, I feel like I put a lot of thought into things before I go in and spend the money on something. So I just want to go through that process and kind of talk it through, because I feel like other people out there might be interested in similar things that I'm interested in. But not everybody can maybe go like see, touch, feel before they purchase.
Right.
And that's kind of one of the goals that I have for my channel, and like educating somebody on something before they go out and, put their credit card down and take that jump, right?
Yeah. And most of the things that you review are a little bit more on the pricey side. You do some more reasonably priced stuff, but I feel like if you're kind of saving up for one of those, if it's a luxury item, or even if it's like a really nice toothbrush, which you did a video on, right? Like you still want to be a little bit more informed. And I feel like the reviews that you give are very detailed. Like you think about a lot of things when you're going through if this is a good purchase or not. And so I really appreciate that about your channel.
Yay.
So, goal met. What inspired you to start a YouTube channel?
So actually, it wasn't my own idea. It was Chris's idea for me to start a YouTube channel.
Nice.
And essentially, I spent a lot of time watching things on YouTube, to be honest, probably more time than I should. I the equivalent somebody spends time watching TV, I think I spend watching YouTube channels.
Right.
Because
we mentioned in the past you don't have cable, right?
Yeah, I don't have cable. I don't really watch TV. Netflix is my other option, I guess. But, usually I'm watching YouTube because I feel like that's what I'm getting from it. Like I'm learning something from somebody else.
Right.
That's how I get exposed to new products, or like, whatever, anything under the sun. I watch TED Talks, like educational things. So not that I feel like I'm of TED Talk standards, but, that's kind of the reason why I started. I feel like, number one, it wasn't my idea, but number two, now that I'm doing it, I want to share information with other people.
Share your perspective.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is what we do on this podcast.
Exactly. Here. No, that's great. So from an outsider's perspective, this kind of thing, like starting something like this, could be maybe out of reach. And so I wanted to get a little bit of insights on how you went about getting started, or maybe, even if that wasn't the best route because you weren't an expert at the time, like, what do you think it would take to get started?
So I would say, and I definitely want to preface this with, I'm not an expert at this yet. This is still something that I would consider new to me, and I'm still trying to build up. I just want to say that because I don't want to lead someone on to think that I have like thousands and thousands of people following me or anything like that. But ultimately, I could essentially be in the same boat of somebody else who is quote unquote starting.
Yeah.
So for me, I think initially the part that was the most like, I wouldn't call it daunting, but maybe the thing that was like most in my mind as like a hurdle was, where am I going to film? This background situation I feel like is so critical, and you don't actually notice how much you think about what's behind you until you're like filming and you're like, oh my God, it's messy back there or something.
Yeah.
But I would have to say, like, if and this is with anything, if you want to do something, like put that all aside and just do it, because if you're worrying about all these things, you're not going to actually go ahead and do it. I would also say is, another thing I would also say is I kind of jumped in, like all in from the get-go, right? And I don't think that's something people who want to do this have to do. Like, I don't think it's a requirement. People are making music videos and all of that kind of stuff on their phone, but I bought all the equipment like from the get-go.
Right.
You know, like I have at this point filmed portions of videos on my phone, like while I'm out and about or whatever, and it was easier for me to do that than carry a camera, or, you know, some places don't want you to be walking around with a camera in their store or whatever.
And a tripod.
Right.
And lighting.
So, yeah, there's pieces of my videos that have camera, like cell phone camera footage on it. And definitely someone could just go ahead and just use their phone, really, you know. And I think that's, you know, if we're thinking like back in the day when this was a new thing, I think that's what a lot of people started off doing.
I think you also mentioned to me that there are artists who film their like famous artists who film their music videos on their iPhones.
Yeah, and funny you mentioned that, because this morning I was on YouTube watching random stuff before you came over to my house. And Lady Gaga just released a new video. I think it's called Stupid Love. And honestly, I'm just going to come out and say that I think it's an iPhone tactic to like sell iPhones too.
Oh, really?
Because it was published by Apple, the video. But Lady Gaga's new video is also filmed on an iPhone.
I know there's a bunch of comedians out there too who have filmed their specials on iPhones and released them like on Netflix and things like that. Yeah. So it's definitely possible. So don't let like a really expensive camera
don't let equipment get in the way.
Right. You know, one thing I just realized is we didn't mention the name of your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us a little about it?
So let's step back a little bit. So my YouTube channel is called Simple Casual Chic, and essentially I do videos to review a bunch of different like luxury products I might have bought, whether it be like purses, wallets, shoes, that kind of stuff. I also have some like haul videos where I've purchased clothes. I've done like trunk club, that kind of thing. So, you know, with anything, like coming up with a name, I think was the hardest part, right? Even with us, coming up with a podcast name was like hard. You just like literally brainstorm and like write down a ton of different words that you feel like will fit what you want this thing to be. Right. So I feel like essentially Simple Casual Chic is a definition of myself, I think, you know.
I think so. I think it's perfect. Yeah.
It's like, it's almost like, I mean, so I'm not saying I'm necessarily this, but sometimes when I see these pictures online, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what it means, where it's like, you know, where they have the picture where it's like, get a girl who can do both, right? Where you're just kind of like lounging around in like jeans or whatever, but then if you have to go somewhere, you like dress up and you go. So I feel like I'm kind of like all of that, but also like a mixture of that, where I'll wear like jeans and sneakers and a t-shirt, but then I'm like with a designer bag or like something like that, or like I'm wearing, people give me crap about this too, to be honest with you. They're like, you're wearing a t-shirt and jeans and you're wearing like Ferragamo flats. I'm like, why does it matter what I'm wearing? I just feel like it.
Yeah.
You know? So anyways, that's the premise of my channel. Yeah. Please follow me.
Yeah. Follow Shelly. Look out for Simple Casual Chic on Instagram and YouTube.
Yep.
All right. What about learning how to use software? What was that about? You know, like, was that difficult? Did it kind of get in your way at any point? What was that like?
So I feel like kind of thinking back to maybe my high school self or something like that, I was really into like computers and using them and like even programming stuff, and saying that I don't want anyone to be like scared about like thinking like, oh my God, I got to be really into it to, you know, even get started. But I use Final Cut Pro, which is essentially the stereotypical quintessential editing program that people on YouTube use, and I would say it's fairly simple to use. I did a lot of like self research, right? Like I went online, was like, how do I do this on Final Cut Pro? I watched a bunch of YouTube channels on how people use it. I learned the shortcut keys, and that's what I feel like is kind of critical, not critical, but it helps a lot, like knowing the shortcut keys to clip a video and that kind of stuff.
Right.
It is very easy to use, I will say. Like it's a very visual program. It was kind of hard in the beginning. I would say, like, you know, learning anything new is like kind of frustrating in the beginning, but I wasn't frustrated to the point where I'm like, forget this, you know? Like it was like, okay, this is a challenge, like recognize it's a challenge, but like, you know, push through it. And like, I think I say with a lot of things, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Or vice versa. If other
Yeah.
people can do it, then you can do
Right,
it.
exactly.
Right?
No,
Yeah.
because like, when you're watching these YouTube channels, it's not like software developers are the one making YouTube channels and that's it. You know what I mean? Like, they're not like necessarily pros. So yeah, if they can do it, then I can do it.
Exactly.
Same thing. If I can do it, you guys can do it.
What about iMovie? Did you use that at any point?
I did not. I don't know why I didn't. I mean, I edit on an Apple. Obviously, Final Cut Pro is an Apple program.
Oh, it is. It just
I
costs
think-
money.
Yeah, it costs money. iMovie comes on the computer ready, and so I don't know what it's like using that at all. But I would.
So you couldn't really comment on whether iMovie
I couldn't
would work.
compare. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Interesting.
But to be honest, and to be fair, I've never really been into using Mac computers in my life. Like, I've always had PC, like Windows computers. So, I mean, that was another hurdle I had to get through, right? Like, how do I use this Apple computer?
Right.
So I think that added to my frustration, if anything, because here I am using a whole new computer system that I'm not used to. Like, I'm like, how do I even open this program?
Right. Well, from an outsider's perspective, because I wasn't there when you were going through all of this, but we've been working on the podcasting together. And just now, to be vulnerable with you guys, we're working on setting up 2 mics because in the near future, we're excited to start interviewing people, hopefully at some point.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. And so we're trying to figure out how to connect 2 mics to the computer. We had a YouTube channel up. We just followed each step, paused it a billion times, and just, kind of like failed and fixed and failed and fixed until trial and error. Yeah. That's what I was actually looking for. But trial and error until it worked. And so I think that if, even though I would say that Shelly is a very tech savvy person, she kind of catches on to things like that really well. I'm not nearly as good at that kind of stuff as her, but I can figure things out. So, for me, I was doing most of that on my own, and I was just kind of showing Shelly, and then we finally, at the last minute, got it figured out by clicking one button. So I feel like if you just stick with it, really tenacious, have some grit, and don't let anything kind of hold you back just because it's not working within 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You'll get there.
Right.
We believe in you.
Yeah. I definitely will say though, and I think this is something that Tempsy and I had a conversation about just casually on the side, where I think, the first couple of videos that I made and edited, I would get kind of too nitpicky about how I was editing this video.
That's right.
And I would spend a lot of time and trim out these half a second portions, for what reason, really, what benefit, how much better was that going to make my video? I couldn't say.
I did the same thing with editing the podcasts, right? I was cutting out every pause, and it was wait a minute, but that pause,
so much time,
but also that pause fits there,
right? Yeah,
so it was
just
genuine,
leave it, right?
Yeah.
So something that I did and challenged myself to do over a year ago is there's this thing around Christmas time, in the month of December, called Vlogmas, where people are posting some kind of video from December 1st to December 25th. And one thing I will say is that the hardest part for me was finding content to film every single day. But because the turnaround time was so fast, it taught me to not care if it doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody's watching perfect videos, and I'm not making a movie that's going to be shown in the theater. Nobody's giving me $1 billion budget and being this must be perfect, and I'm not making Transformers or something. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
This is just a casual video where I'm sitting down talking about something. It doesn't have to be perfect.
But there are perfectionists out there, right?
Yeah, for sure. And
I think
credit
that's a
to
good
them.
point. Yeah.
That's awesome. I don't have time for that. I have a full-time job.
Well, I'm one of those people, but I think those of us who are perfectionists out there, we have those habits in us. It actually takes away from our effectiveness.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that before. So, for me, getting used to letting those pauses happen on the podcast and realizing that it doesn't need to be perfect, it actually gives me more time back to be able to spend with my family, or just, get the podcast ready to go so that people can hear it on time, So.
And I think some of those, I don't know, I mean, I wouldn't call them mistakes or errors or anything like that, but some of those things that you feel I should edit it out, it actually adds character to
it does.
Whatever you're working on.
Exactly.
So just leave it there.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Agreed.
You're not being graded on it or anything. So it's fine.
Exactly. All right, well, I wanted to ask you, are there a lot of people in Hawaii starting their own YouTube channels and putting content out there?
So I think that's a really good question. I'm going to go out and say like maybe not, only because I haven't really found them. Like I've never seen these channels. They probably do exist somewhere, you know, but they're not as prevalent. Like I feel like most of the people that I watch, like maybe 80% or more of them are all like California, LA based, which I think YouTube headquarters is there. So I think everyone ends up moving there or something. I do know off the top of my head a couple of like literally like maybe 2 or 3 people who film videos and post. Only one person I know personally. And I don't think she does it as much anymore. But I did find this other like sneaker channel where this guy who is local to Hawaii does like film and post.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, hopefully you can corner the market in some way, shape, or form. What type of equipment do you use? We talked a little bit about that before, but.
So I use, and maybe I should have looked this up first. I don't know entirely off the top of my head, but I have a Fuji camera. I think it's a XH1. It wasn't my idea to purchase. It was Chris's idea to purchase it because it does record in 4K, which I don't think is essential, but YouTube does. Like it has a capacity to play 4K videos. I don't even have any, well, maybe my computer that I'm on right now, it's Apple. Maybe it can play 4K, but my TV can't even play 4K. So I can't even watch like if I wanted to watch a video and stream it to my TV, I can't even watch it in the highest quality that I'm filming in.
Unless you upload it to YouTube first?
No, it's uploaded to YouTube, but the TV isn't high def enough to play a 4K. Like it's going to dumb it down to whatever it can handle, you know, but the video is still in 4K, just that I can't see it in as much clarity.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So it's just kind of funny because I don't even have like the equipment to view it in such high quality. But I also have a Canon G7X, which is a point and shoot camera. It's small. It can not really fit in your pocket, but almost, you know, something easy to carry around with you. That's basically the stereotypical like vlogging camera I feel like every single person on YouTube uses. Well, I've seen a lot of people use it anyway. Right. And then I have a MacBook. I don't even know which one, to be honest with you, but I have a MacBook. Okay. And that's what I edit on. So, and then I use Final Cut Pro, like I mentioned. Yeah. So sometimes I have done voiceovers for my videos when I've had to. That doesn't happen too often, but I use the Yeti mic that I use for this podcast. Tempsy uses the same mic too, but yeah.
Okay. What about, you said something about lighting before when we were talking about this.
So I did buy like some cheapo, like Amazon, whatever cheapest lighting kit I found online for like umbrella lighting, like the ones with the umbrellas. But I also have a ring light that's like pretty expensive, a few $100s. That I will use from time to time, but I'll be honest with you guys, I prefer natural lighting instead of using a ring light. I think it washes me out like too much. I don't wear a lot of makeup or anything like that, so all this like bright light just makes me look like a ghost, I guess. So I really just open the windows. That's like my preferred method of lighting. And I also have this like cheapo, like $40 Amazon basic tripod that I use for my, you know, really expensive camera, but whatever.
Yeah. Whatever you need, right? Like if the light works, then it works. So what goes into planning? Like, what is your workflow like?
So for planning, I think, I don't know. That's actually, I feel like a tough question because I feel like when I record videos, it's for the most part on a whim. You know, like I'm like, what do I have around me? What have I been using lately? Like it's very like,
it's not scheduled.
Yeah, it's not really scheduled. There are some things that I feel like are kind of scheduled. Like if we're talking seasonal, right? So like Christmas, I did a video on like luxury wish list for Christmas, you know, stuff I'm not ever gonna get as a gift,
right?
Unless I hang out with millionaires. I don't know. You know, unless I somehow acquire a bunch of millionaire friends, like there's no way I'm gonna be ever getting these things as gifts or giving these things as gifts, you know.
Well, I'm always working on it, Shelly.
Me too. One of these days, maybe 20 years from now, we can like give each other crazy gifts. But not that that's essential for a friendship or anything, but you know, just being ridiculous.
We've managed
right?
so far.
Yeah. But so like on that note, though, there are like planned things. For example, coming up in April, I'm planning on doing some videos around Earth Day and kind of like ways that I've been working on becoming more eco-friendly, products that I've found, that kind of stuff. So giveaway coming soon. Don't forget to follow me on my YouTube channel and my Instagram, Simple Casual Chic, to, you know, participate in the giveaway. So that's an example of something where I planned it out, right? Like I'm like, this thing is coming up in April. I'm going to release it around this day. But otherwise, really, I'm just kind of like, what do I like right now? And I try to keep it pretty like current, right? Like candid and current. Like this is what is actually right now.
Right.
I have had, you know, thoughts about and ideas about doing things that are more scheduled, but then I always feel like it's more forced, and then I'm like looking for things to like put in the video
rather than genuine.
Then it's hard, right?
Yeah.
That makes it more stressful. So
yeah, very interesting. So what else are you, you have this giveaway coming up. Are there any things you're excited about for your channel that are coming up?
Well, I have some ideas on videos that I'd like to do, because, like I mentioned, I like sharing information with people. I like talking about like products kind of in depth to show you like how it works or whatever, like that kind of stuff. So I have been looking for people to work with, to make videos for them. And sometimes, like, I guess what I have in mind is like things that are more like customizable, because for me, I have a hard time like visualizing like, what does that mean? Like, what does this process even look like? Is it super involved? How am I going to know it's going to come out how I want it to, because usually when you customize something, it's more expensive,
right?
So those
are you talking about customizing the product?
Customizing the product,
right?
I
see.
So, I think that something that I'm looking at in particular, and this is at no fault to the person who has a website, but just like me looking at it, I didn't really get a good idea of like, what is this going to be like for me to customize this? And so that to me is like an opportunity to then record my process,
right? And
be like, this is what it's like. You like, ultimately as a consumer, you make the call if you want to go through this or not, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that kind of stuff's interesting.
But I think it helps people understand.
Right. Right. Instead of being like, because then someone might back out when it's not a big deal.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Well, I'm really excited about your giveaway. If you want more information about her giveaway coming up for Simple Casual Chic, you can go to theoutrighteffect.com for more information.
Yeah, we'll be posting all of like the giveaway rules or like things that you need to do in order to participate. So yeah, it'll be fun.
Head over there and you'll be able to go to her Instagram and follow her YouTube channel as well. And it'll all be there for you in a nice little package. So what are your goals for your channel? What are you looking to accomplish with it, or where are you looking to go with it?
So I'll be super honest with you guys. There are a couple of milestones that you need to reach, or like, things you need to hit on YouTube in order to make it profitable. That's something that I feel like I really want to work on in 2020, turning that into like a business. I mean, so my goal in 2020 is to make at least $1 off of YouTube.
I mean, I got it,
whatever, you know, I mean, I'm not trying to like set high expectations. I just want to like do something, right? Like I just wanted to,
but I mean, even making $1 in YouTube could be a huge, like
it's a milestone.
Yeah,
I think
definitely,
literally $1, people.
It could take a lot of work. You know what I mean? Because you have to hit that. What is it like?
So there are subscriber count thing, like a thing you need to check off and say like, I've met this, right? And there's another one about like how many hours people are watching your videos. So for both of those things, so for subscriber count, I need like 700 more subscribers, which like, that sounds crazy. Actually, it's like 650. But so, I mean, if any of you out there want to help me reach that goal, I mean, that's the harder one, I feel like, out of the two, because the other one is like amount of time people are spending watching your videos, and I'm more than halfway there, like a little bit, like 55% there.
Right.
So I think that if I at least double the amount of subscribers I have now, I should meet that other one. Right. But I need even more than double. You know what I mean? Because like 300 is double. So anyways, so that's what I'm working on, doing this year. And I feel like I have a pretty good plan to execute on that this year. I think, I recognize I can only do so much. The rest is up to people wanting to follow. Right. So,
yeah. But if you put enough like attractive content out there, people are gonna.
Right.
Yeah. And I think, you just being you and just showing the things that you're interested in and the things that you think about when going into purchases, I think it's going to get you there.
And, kind of like thinking about that a little bit more, I have talked with other people about ways to maybe get more followers on YouTube or Instagram and that kind of stuff. And people have thrown out, I guess, sort of like ideas or their thoughts or perspective on like how I could do that. And I mean, we live in Hawaii. A lot of people like to see the scenery of Hawaii and that kind of stuff. But to be honest, that's not really my vibe. Like, I don't go to the beach. I think we talked about this before, right? And so I'm not trying to force myself to be something that I'm not. And I'm not trying to put out content just to get people to follow me.
Right.
Like that's going to be I don't know.
It has to be genuine and organic. It can't just
Right.
be forced.
Yeah, exactly. So while I know that, yeah, if I don't know, did like drone shots of the beaches or whatever, like people would like to see that, I'm sure.
Right.
But like, I don't even go to the beach. Like, I personally would not go back and watch my own video. I mean, no offense to whoever is doing that, but it's just not my taste, right?
Right.
Like, it's not something I'm looking out for. So,
But whoever is doing that, you know, that might be their taste. So
right.
that's,
Yeah. And if you're attracting the followers that you're getting, and, you know, I mean, that's great. But I'm doing fashion, lifestyle, and beauty.
So anything else you want to add? I think that was really good insights into, you know, your mindset going into starting a vlog and all of the things that you've, you know, purchased and things that you've invested in and time and energy. Like, what else do you want to tell people about it?
I mean, I would say, you know, as this goes with anything, I think it's just kind of like, if you want to do something, like, go and do it. Like, don't hold yourself back from doing it. Like, you are your only, like, I don't know, holder backer. I don't know what word to call it.
You're your own barrier.
Right. So, I mean, I think, like, you know, this has been a very fun thing for me. I know Tempsy and I have talked about, like, being creative and, like, looking for ways to find that outlet and that kind of stuff. So this has definitely been one of those things for me. What I really liked about it, and I feel like it has helped me just in general, like, learn a lot, you know, either about myself or about the process.
Right.
Like, figuring out how I work, how I motivate myself to do these things, how I can execute it, make sure it gets done. Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's almost like you're being an entrepreneur. Like, you're your own boss. Nobody else is, like, holding me to the gun, like, saying, this is your deadline.
Yep.
Right? Like, versus if you're working a regular job, like Tempsy and I both have regular jobs. Like, we have a boss that sets those things for us. Like,
Yeah.
this is really on your own, right?
Yep.
So kind of like learning how to keep yourself accountable and, like, kind of feeling that, I don't know, flow and drive to continue. I think, you know, those are things that I found valuable from the whole experience. Yeah.
And you're setting goals for yourself, and you're not letting yourself say, well, nobody's, like, holding me accountable for those goals, so
never mind.
I'm just
Yeah.
going to watch more YouTube
Right. I'm just
videos.
going to chill,
Yeah.
eat some ice cream.
Yeah, exactly. And if you do those things, then you're going to get out of it what you put in. So,
Right. Mm-hmm.
yeah, don't let barriers get in your way, and don't let yourself get in your way of hitting your goals.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for listening to this episode of The Outright Effect. You can find us at theoutrighteffect.com. Follow us on our social media accounts on Instagram and Facebook at The Outright Effect, or email us at theoutrighteffect@gmail.com. See you guys next time. Bye.